whoever is drawing that beautiful art, Dhruv Maharaj is getting more and more cuter every day. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, Text 24. Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinaihi Yajnai pushkala dakshinaihi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi Ante mam samsmarishyasi Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinaihi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinaihi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi. Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinaihi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi. Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinaihi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi. Ikshva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinahi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi. Mataji. Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinahi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi. Ishtva mam yajya hridayam Yajnai pushkala dakshinaihi Bhuktva cheha shisha satya Ante mam samsmarishyasi. Word-to-word translation, please repeat. Ishtva, after worshipping. Mam, me. Yajna hridayam, the heart of all sacrifices. Yajnaihi, by great sacrifices. Pushkala dakshinaihi, comprehending distribution of great charities. Bhuktva, after enjoying. Cha, also. Iha, within this world. Ashisha, blessings. Satyaha, true. Ante, at the end. Mam, may. Actually, Mam, me. Samsmarishyasi, you will be able to remember. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Charanaravinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki. The Lord continued, I am the heart of all sacrifices. You will be able to perform many great sacrifices and also give great charities. In this way, you will be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in this life, and at the time of your death, you will be able to remember me. Purport. The most important factor in this verse is the Lord's instructions regarding how to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the end of life. Ante Narayana Smriti. The result of whatever we do in executing spiritual activities is successful if we can remember Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This program of constant remembrance can be disturbed by many things. But Dhruva Maharaj's life would be so pure, as assured by the Lord himself, that Dhruva would never forget him. Thus, at the time of his death, he would remember the Supreme Lord, and before his death, he would enjoy this material world not by sense gratification, but by performing great sacrifices. As stated in the Vedas, when one performs great sacrifices, he must give charity not only to the Brahmanas, but also to the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. It is assured here that Dhruva Maharaj would be able to perform such activities. In this age of Kali, however, the great sacrifices is the performance of Sankirtan Yajna. Our Krishna consciousness movement is designed to teach people the exact instruction of the personality of Godhead. In this way, we shall continuously perform the Sankirtan Yajna and continuously chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Then, at the end of our lives, we shall certainly be able to remember Krishna, and our program of life will be successful. In this age, distribution of prasada has replaced distribution of money. No one has sufficient money to distribute. But if we distribute Krishna prasada as far as possible, this is more valuable than the distribution of money. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kankaroti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Bhanapanandamadhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvara. That's it. The translation again. The Lord continued, I am the heart of all sacrifices. You will be able to perform many great sacrifices and also give great charities. In this way, you will be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in this life, and at the time of your death, you will be able to remember me. Chapter title, Dhruva Maharaj returns home. Hare Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj has performed his austerities very successfully, and then he is blessed by the appearance of the Supreme Lord himself. Prishnigarbha, that's the form of the Lord who appeared in front of Dhruva Maharaj. And after blessing Dhruva Maharaj with his original desire, material desire we may have, normally we are advised to forget them. In fact, if we are sincere enough, Krishna will make us to forget them. But in Dhruva Maharaj's situation, it's a very unique blessing which Krishna gives him. Normally we read, Yasyaham anugrinami harishe tadanam shanai. When Krishna wants to show some special favor, he takes it away. Prabhupada says, Krishna takes it away first, and then Krishna makes us mature in our Krishna consciousness. And when Krishna is convinced that the devotee is capable of handling the opulence and wealth, Krishna gives it back. In fact, so much more. In Dhruva Maharaj's case, it's very unique because Dhruva Maharaj was actually very satisfied simply seeing the Supreme Lord face to face, eye to eye. But then he forgets to ask him because he's very much satisfied, and he speaks to the Supreme Lord. My Lord, I was looking for something like a glass piece when I have the diamond mine right in front of me. So we see here when somebody actually is blessed by the darshan of the Supreme Lord, when we come in front of Radha Gopinath, we may have many desires, but our level of bhakti is such that at least during the time when we are in front of them, we feel very happy. But then as soon as we leave the temple room, we behave differently. That's the problem. In fact, as soon as we finish darshan, even within the temple room, we behave differently. But we need to be conscious. How nice it would be if we can maintain that consciousness. As when we are standing in front of the Lord, the level of consciousness that we have, the purity of thoughts that we have, how nice it would be if we can carry that always. So here, Dhruva Maharaj is very satisfied, but Krishna is insisting, no, you should take. And you will see, in one sense, a similar conversation happens between Narasimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj also. When Prahlad Maharaj says, my Lord, first Narasimhadev says, I am Varada, ask for boon. Prahlad Maharaj says, no, I don't want anything. He insists, no, you should take. My Lord, please don't tempt me with all this materialistic enjoyment. Also, I am serving you. You are my master and I am your servant. I am just serving you. I don't want anything else. Beyond this, it will look like a business transaction. Not it will look like it is a business transaction. So I don't want anything. Still, Narasimhadev insists, no, you should take. Maybe you can liberate my father. That's taken care, 14 generations. Ask me more. Yadi dasyasi me kaman varamstam varadrishabha. Kamanam hridaya samroham bhavantastu vrinevaram. He says, my Lord, if you at all want me to give me some boon, the desire which I may have within my heart to ask for something material, remove that. That's the boon I want. Rule number 1, there is no rule. And then we have to remember, it's the same personality of Godhead who even Lord Brahma was scared to go in front. But Prahlad Maharaj is very coolly having this conversation. So here we see Dhruva Maharaj is very satisfied, but still Supreme Lord is actually bestowing him. Goes to show that Krishna actually doesn't want us to make our life more difficult than what it is needed. There is a certain level of austerity that's needed, but we should not overdo it. Srila Prabhupada says to one of his disciples when he was walking or about to join the morning walk barefoot, Prabhupada says, material world is already troublesome. Why do you want to make it more difficult? How many of you here would like to make your life more difficult? Already it's difficult. It's too much. So, here Krishna is actually giving. Again, this is not how we gauge devotee's progress in one sense, but in another sense, we can also gauge. In one sense, you can't actually gauge a devotee's bhakti based on how much wealth Krishna has blessed them with. That's fine. But here, when Krishna is actually deliberately giving him, we can also gauge how much mature this devotee must have been. So much so that Krishna himself is giving, insisting. Even though the devotee is saying, I don't want, Krishna is saying, no, you keep it. So we should not read too much into devotee's wealth, but at the same time, this is a very unique position where Krishna himself, despite the insistence of the devotee to say, I don't want Krishna is still saying, no, you keep it. How often have you come across instance when Krishna said, no, you keep it? Hari means what? One who takes away. Of course, one who takes away all troubles. Very rare to see. Pure devotees, so rare to see. Devotees who have no desire for anything material. Pure devotees are so rare. So here, Dhruva Maharaj is being assured. The Lord continued, I am the heart of all sacrifices. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakaha. Bhoktaram Yekya Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Lord is the supreme enjoyer. Vasudeva Paramakaha. Lord Krishna, he is the ultimate object of all sacrifices. You will be able to perform many great sacrifices and also give charities. Prabhupada mentions in the pulpit how Dhruva Maharaj will enjoy after he dies, or after rather he gets liberated. When his time is up in material world, Krishna himself will come and, or he'll send his dear Vishnu Dudas, and Dhruva Maharaj would actually go in the self-same body. He doesn't even die. He goes in the same body that he has. And Prabhupada writes how pure devotees, they never leave their body. They just go in the self-same body. You come across pastimes, Prabhupada actually mentions even in the first canto about how the Pandavas, they went in the self-same body. Draupadi went in the self-same body. Subhadra Maharani went in the self-same body. If you go to Maharashtra, you will come across Tukaram Maharaj, went in the self-same body. Not only him, he also asked the Veena also to come. So you will come across pure devotees, they go in the self-same body. Dhruva Maharaj also does here. He will be able to perform many great sacrifices. So Prabhupada says, in bhakti, how a devotee enjoys both in this life as well as in the next. First, let's talk about next life. Next life is we go to Goloka Vrindavan. Needless to say, whatever descriptions we have come across, it's going to be a very fun place, correct? Krishna always has games. Krishna always has a lot of activities. So, we don't have any doubt about how the quality of life will be. Of course, when we make it to Goloka Vrindavan, terms and conditions apply. But let's shift our focus to the enjoyment which devotees have in this material world. Prabhupada says here, Dhruva Maharaj will be able to enjoy material life. How? Not by sense gratification, but by performing sacrifices and charities. Hang on a minute, how is that enjoyment? We may think our level of enjoyment means taking it. But there is a certain joy which we have by giving also. Etava janma shafalyam dehinam iha dehishu pranararterdiya vacha shreya acharanam sada. Krishna says, Etavat janma shafalyam. Whoever who is born in this world, dehinam iha dehishu. Dehinam means whoever who is born in this world. Iha dehishu means other embodied living entities. Whoever born in this world has to do something for the welfare of other embodied living entities. How? Praner, arther, diya, vacha. Using one's life, time, arther, one's wealth, diya, intelligence, vacha, words. Shreya means fortune. One should share that fortune with other embodied. Dehishu means other embodied living entities. Acharanam, behavior. By one's activities, one should share it. How often? Sada, always. So acts of sacrifice, austerities and penances never stop. Krishna also says that in Bhagavad Gita. So here, Krishna is telling to Dhruva Maharaj that you will be able to enjoy. Enjoy how? By performing great sacrifices and charities. So this is a very higher level of enjoyment. We need to condition ourselves to. In bodily consciousness, our enjoyment is we always take. But in spiritual consciousness, enjoyment means there is an enjoyment in giving. How many of you have this experience? Very rarely, not very often, rarely by sacrificing something and giving it to others, could be anything. Easy example, plate of prasad. Okay, part of the plate of prasad. You may be seated in a class, one other devotee comes, you give the seat. Could be anything. Or sometimes you stand in the queue, you let the other person, that's impossible. How many of you have that experience? The joy of giving. All of us, sometimes at least. But Krishna is saying that's a good start, we have. But Krishna is saying, Shreya Acharanam Sada, always. So there is a certain enjoyment comes in giving. There is a certain enjoyment comes in letting go of things. How many of you have that experience? Whether we like it or not, when things go, okay, anyway, it's gone, you know. Even though that wasn't our plan. Now that it's gone, what can you do? Just accept it. So here, Krishna is saying you will be able to enjoy by performing great sacrifices and charities. When Krishna gives wealth, he wants us to enjoy. How does he want us to enjoy? By engaging it in his service. So whatever Krishna gives us, we should feel grateful. If Krishna gives us less, we feel grateful because that's the service Krishna has given us. If Krishna gives us more, that's the service Krishna has given us. In any situation, ultimate enjoyer is always Krishna. Vasudeva para makaha. Any sacrifice we do, if we sacrifice, there has to be two people, right? There is a performer of sacrifice and there is a person who is supposed to enjoy the sacrifice, correct? If I have a plate of prasad, I give to other, then I am the performer of the sacrifice. But who is the enjoyer? The person who I am giving to. Okay, understanding this is very simple. Same way, Krishna is saying any sacrifice you do, ultimate enjoyer is just him, nobody else. In fact, only if the ultimate enjoyer is Krishna, if the nature of our sacrifice, quality of sacrifice is like that, then only what we do, the act that we actually do is considered as a sacrifice in the first place. Otherwise, even sacrifices should not be or cannot be whimsical. Many times we invent a lot of different austerities just to keep ourselves busy. But we have to understand what Krishna wants, what Krishna is going to enjoy. Prabhupada gives an example. If a guru tells the disciple, please give me a glass of water, and if the disciple concludes, compared to a glass of water, a glass of milk is better, and he gives a glass of milk, Prabhupada says, that's not a proper service. Service means we have to do something to please the Supreme Lord or please whoever is the object of that service. Based on their desire, it has to be. So Krishna has given whatever faculties, whatever resources that we have, Krishna wants us to enjoy. How? Not by keeping. Even materially, we have that experience, the joy of giving. But Krishna wants us to experience that joy forever by giving. Always. Shreya Acharanam Sada. All the time. In this way, you'll be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in this life. This is how material things can be enjoyed in this life. How? By giving. And at the time of your death, you'll be able to remember me. And Prabhupada says, of all the instructions which Krishna has given, in this particular verse, the most important instruction is samsmarishyasi. We see the last word of the verse. Remembering. Etavan sankhya yogabhyam swadharma parinishtaya janmalabho paropumsam ante narayana smriti. Prabhupada quotes that verse here. Etavan sankhya yogabhyam swadharma parinishtaya janmalabho paropumsam ante narayana smriti. The ultimate achievement which one can achieve by one of these three processes. What is it? By the process of Sankhya, by the empirical analysis of this material world, whatever conclusion one can come to. So that's the first path. Second path, one follows the Ashtanga Yoga process, comes to the stage of Samadhi and attains perfection, which is Samadhi to see the Supreme Lord face to face and to meditate on Him. That's the second path. Third path is Swadharma. Whatever achievement one does by executing their dharma or their job properly. Whatever the outcome of these three different paths, path of Sankhya Yoga, path of Ashtanga Yoga, and the path of performing one's own duty. Etavan Sankhya Yoga Abhyam. Swadharma. Parinishtaya. Whatever ultimate achievement one can possibly achieve by these three paths is remembrance of the Supreme Lord at the end of one's life. So you don't gauge a person's success in their job based on what salary they get, based on how high they climb up in the career ladder, based on what promotion they get, what job title they get. Whatever activity that one does during the whole job, you won't get to see that during the person's entire life up until the time of death. If somebody had executed their job properly, they'll be able to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the time of death. That's how you gauge. Same way, somebody may be a Sankhya Yogi. They may sit and analyze for the whole life, for thousands and thousands of years. Still, depending on whatever conclusion they may arrive, is that how their life is determined as success or failure? No. It all comes down to Ante Narayana Smriti. Are they able to remember the Supreme Lord at the end of life? Now, this verse especially goes to show whatever that we do in this life will influence our thought process at the time of death. Normally we say it, in a more theoretical way. But here is a proof where it has actually said whatever activities that we do, the quality of that activities will be determined by how much you are able to remember at the time of death. So same way, in yoga process, somebody may sit in meditation, sit still in one place for again thousands of years. Is that how you calculate a person's success? No. Wait until they are about to die and see how much they are able to remember. That's what this verse says. So Prabhupada here, he is saying this is the most important verse, or important word rather, in this verse. Samsmarishyasi. How much is a person able to remember the Supreme Lord? But in order to do that at the end of life, one should start to meditate on that. One should start to train their mind. to remember that. Every word that we hear creates a mental image. Can we have that exercise? Car, white car, Sudarshana Chakra, flag, Narasimhadev, Radha Gopinath. Can you see? Image coming. So every word that we hear, every word that we speak creates an image, creates a mental impression, and it gets stored. So we have to be very careful what we take in. We have to be very careful about what we talk. We have to be very careful about what we expose ourselves constantly to. There are situations which are out of our control. If you go to the city, you'll always hear, you go by train, you'll always hear people talking, something. It's beyond your control. They can still hear some kirtan, something, chant, hear some class. But most part of the time, actually situation is in our control. How we want to use the sense of speech, how do we want to use the sense of hearing? So here's some smarishyasi. Tena kena prakarena, or I have also read ena kena prakarena. Mana Krishna niveshayed sarve vidhi nisedyasyur ettayoreva kinkara. Rupa Goswami says somehow or other mind has to be meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you will come across this analysis about the mind almost in every section of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are constantly in association with the mind. It's with the mind that we see the world. Mind is the conduit between our soul and the external world. It gets the information and then it processes it. If a person is in coma and they may be having their eyes open, if the mind is not in a proper state, it won't register that information. Sometimes have you got that experience? You may be standing right in front of your friend and you know your friend may be saying something very important. And you hear for 10 seconds and you say, can you please repeat? Without wanting to admit that you spaced out. Mind didn't process the information. Okay, it's through the mind we actually receive the information. But the problem with the mind is it acts as a double agent. You know who is a double agent? Have you watched some spy movies? Okay, a country will employ one guy as a spy for its own welfare. The guy goes to another country, the enemy country. Enemy country also employs him to become the spy of his own country. And this guy comes back, his original country or the country in which he belongs thinks that he is working for him. But actually what is he doing? He is actually getting pay from both the governments. He is taking the information from here and passing. But who actually gave him opportunity for the second job? It's the first country. Without that, he wouldn't have even gone to the other country. Arranges for the visa, changes the person's identity, gives all the facilities. And guess what this guy does? Goes there and starts spying on his own country. Sounds familiar? Our mind does that to us. Mind is a double agent. Mind is the conduit between us and the external world. So mind is processing information and sending. Okay, we originally intended, have you got that experience? Sometimes you go to a shopping center to buy something. But then when you drive back home, you will think, I didn't go to buy all this. How many of you have that experience? We have that. Mind acts as a double agent. Initially, our intention, we told, please take me to the shop. Goes, find out which aisle or which bay, a toothpaste is. And you go. And you come back with a bag full of chips. You didn't ask the mind to do. But somehow, mind looks at it, acts as a double agent. Rather than mind working for us, flips around. It starts to work for the packet of chips. Hi, please come. And then it comes. So associating with mind is very dangerous. Because mind has this tendency to act as double agent. You can't completely switch off the mind either. Without mind, our other senses won't work. I mean, they'll get the information, but they can't process. It's like giving a laptop to a monkey. What does it do? Even if it knows the password. So information will come, but we can't process. We can't make any good use of it. In order to make that information which is gathered by all of these different senses, Jnanendriyas, mind has to be there to process it. If somebody goes off, even a mental person actually sees everything. That's probably a good, more relevant example. If a lunatic is there, they may get the information, but they don't know how to process it. Understand? So it's the mind which is time and again brought to focus, that it is the mind which is the cause of our happiness and cause of our sadness. If you read 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see in Uddhava Gita, Krishna tells to Uddhava about one Brahmana from Avanti, not to be confused with Avaduta Brahmana. There are two stories which Krishna speaks about in Uddhava Gita. One is Maharaj Yadu, who is the forefather of the dynasty where Krishna was born. Yadu's conversation with one other Avaduta, Brahmana, who shares his knowledge about the 24 gurus he accepted. So that is Avaduta Brahmana. That conversation Yadu is having. But here, Krishna speaks about, in same Uddhava Gita, Krishna also speaks about one other Brahmana, Avanti Brahmana, from a holy place known as Avanti. Skanda Purana, you will find a list of 7 holy places. Let's hear the holy names. Okay. Can you guess what those 7 places are? Take a guess. Just a holy place. Even if your answer is, actually it cannot be wrong, it's still holy. Come on. If I say holy place, what comes to your mind? Mathura, okay. Vrindavan, okay. I'm sorry? Okay, Vrindavan covers everything. Already Mathura, then Vrindavan, then Radhakund, then what? Shamakund, Giriraj, continue. Vrindavan, 1, okay. Next. Varanasi, okay. Ujjain, Haridwar, okay. Badrinath. More? Sorry, what? Puri, yes. Rameshwaram, Pashupatinath, okay. Everyone is having representation of their own locality now. Sorry, what? Mayapur, yes. Pandarpur, go for it. Srirangam, Kashi. Already he said Varanasi. Okay, we covered almost everything. Ekachakra, correct. Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti, Ayodhya, Mayapuri, Mathura, Dwarka. These are the 7 holy places, principal holy places according to Skanda Purana. Kashi, we know, also known as Varanasi, Banaras, different names. Kashi, Kanchi. Go to South India, Kanchipuram. Kashi, they are all very, very ancient cities. Ancient holy places. Kashi, Kanchi. Now we have to understand, Purana means it's old. Correct? Skanda Purana, it's the biggest Purana. The word Purana itself means it's old. When Skanda Purana says it's one of the ancient cities, we have to understand how ancient it must have been. Like Ajamila's story, we read. When Shukadeva Goswami, after telling about or starting to tell about glories of the holy name, he says, I heard one story from Agastya Muni long, long ago. Like that Shukadeva Goswami says. And he says, Agastya Muni shared with me this confidential knowledge. That means we have to understand Ajamila's story must be very, very old. So Puranas are old. When Puranas say something is like, these are very ancient cities, we have to understand. It cannot get any more ancient than that. Kashi, Kanchi is Kanchipuram. Avanti, also known as Ujjain. Kashi, Kanchi, Avanti, Ayodhya. Mathura, Mayapuri. This Mayapuri refers to Haridwar. Somebody mentioned Haridwar. Okay, this Mayapuri is not our Mayapur. Our Mayapur, there are other verses that glorify. This Mayapuri refers to Haridwar and Dwaraka. Of these 7 holy places, Mathura is given as the most holiest of all. Many reasons. Puranas themselves, they say, of all the holy places, Mathura is the holiest. When we say Mathura, that includes Vrindavan, Shamakund, Radhakund, everything. Okay, so Mathura is the holiest. Why? For a start, it gives liberation to anybody who goes. It gives bhakti. It also gives 4 ways of liberation. It's given. Janma, Maunjivrata, Mrityu, Daher. One gets liberation in 4 different ways by being associated with Mathura. Janma, by taking birth in Mathura. Maunjivrata, by taking vows of initiation. Anyone here who took initiation in Mathura, Vrindavan? Yadunandan? Is he there? Yes. By taking initiation in Mathura, one gets liberation. Liberation here refers to going back to spiritual world, not normal liberation of just leaving this material world. Third thing, Mrityu, by dying in Vrindavan. And fourth one, surprise, surprise, you may die anywhere, but if your body is cremated in Vrindavan. Daher means cremation. Specifically, it's given which Daher means dahana, burning. Have you come across any holy place that gives liberation after we die? Mathura does. If somehow or other, we had one devotee in our yatra, Satyasen Prabhu. When I read that, I was thinking, Satyasen Prabhu, as if that's the most important thing. Actually, he is already in liberated platform, even without it. So, by even getting cremated, one gets liberation. That's how powerful it is. Padma Puran takes it even further. Padma Puran says that Mathura Anyeshu Punya Kshetreshu Muktir Heva Kripafalam. It says, or Mahafalam. It says Anyeshu Punya Kshetreshu means normally any holy place, Muktir. Mukti is the ultimate achievement one can gain by going to any holy place. Anyeshu Punya Kshetreshu Muktir Eva Mahafalam. Mahafalam means ultimate gain is Mukti. Mukter Pratyer Harer Bhaktir. On the other hand, the people who are liberated, they have one desire. What is it? To get Harer Bhakti. Mathurayam itilapyate. Only Mathura can give that. So all the holy places give one liberation, but even the liberated souls have one prayer, which is to get Hari Bhakti, pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That can be given, or that can be gained or achieved. Mathurayam ivalabhyate. One can gain that only by taking association of Mathura. Anyway, coming back to the point. Avanti Brahmana. So when Avanti Brahmana, Krishna narrates his particular story and he says, there was one Brahmana in this ancient city of Avanti. He was a miser. He had a lot of wealth, but he was not spending on anyone. Even his own blood relatives, they were very disappointed with him. So, it so happened once, because he didn't offer any sacrifices, didn't use the money to please the demigods took away some wealth, which means they pulled out. His family members, they were observing all along. He didn't let them to enjoy. Now he is slowly losing his. Thieves came, took away some. Time took away some, Krishna says. Will of providence took away some. Finally, whatever he was left with, his relatives took away that also. So he became a pauper one day, didn't know where to go. But without knowing where to go, he deliberated. Why did this happen to me? I had a lot of wealth. I had a lot of sources of enjoyment, so many facilities. I didn't enjoy, I didn't use it. I remember when I joined the college, my uncle gifted me one watch when I joined my undergrad. And when I was going for college hostel, my brother told me, you see this watch, this is expensive. You better wear it and you break, no problem. But if you keep it somewhere and somebody steals it, that will hurt you more. I was thinking about it. That's very true. At least if you use it, you can at least be happy. Okay, at least I used it. Yeah, I might not have used it properly, but at least I used it in some way. But as a miser, he didn't use it. He didn't let his relatives use. He didn't let anyone to use, but everything is gone already. So you can imagine his position. You hear rags to riches. This is riches to rags. So now, he is left with nothing. He deliberates on his situation. The most important thing, he takes full responsibility for his situation. And he says that for my current situation, none of the other factors are the cause. Nayam jano me shukha dukkha hetur na devatatma griha karma kala. He says 6 factors, and he says none of these 6 factors are the reason for my trouble which I am going through. Nayam jano me, I am struggling now not because of jana, other people didn't cause. Nayam jano me shukha dukkha hetur. Hetur means cause. Hetu. Shukha dukkha hetur. People are not in charge. They are not the cause of whatever troubles that I am going through. Na devatatma, not the demigods. Remember, demigods also has taken away. But he is saying, no, not them. They are not the cause for my trouble. Na devatatma, not even my own body. We always whinge. My body is not actually coping up with me, with my desires. He says, na devatatma, not my body. Griha karma kala, not the griha. People sometimes say, my planets are not good. My astrological chart is not good. He says like, no, not graha. Karma, not any activity that we do. Normally, when something goes bad, we try to find the material cause of it. And we say, because of that situation. One devotee was distributing books. This is like, I think, late 90s. In Euro Cup. And there was this big Harinam was also going. And they usually have the polls, right? They interview. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to win the Euro Cup today? And when they came and asked the devotees, who is going to win? He said, Krishna. But actually, that's the ultimate truth. Griha karma. We think we are the cause of the results that we are enjoy or we suffer, but that's not the only cause. There are many, many factors. For want of time, we don't go into those details, but you can read in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, so, he's saying griha karma kala. Sometimes people blame time also. My time is not good. He's saying, no, that's also not the reason. So this way he rejects all these 6 factors. That itself is the first lesson. We should not play victim. It's very easy to play victim. It's very easy to play victim and remain dysfunctional. You know what? I lost the inspiration because such and such devotee told me. You know what? I stopped doing the service because this devotee said that. You know, I don't feel my service being valued. Now that may be true. You may not feel inspired because you may feel that your service is not being valued. But that's not a good enough reason for us to stop doing the service. That's not a good enough reason for us to give up Krishna consciousness. That's not a good enough reason for us to play blame game. If we are really spiritual, we will take ownership. And if you carefully read the stories that are given in Srimad Bhagavatam, and for that matter any Purana, external blaming will happen, but at one point, the time when the person actually takes up responsibility, right at that point, Krishna will step in. Until the point we take ownership of the situation that we are in, Krishna will sit and watch us. Because we are trying to still materially solve the situation, which we can't do anyway. Nayam jano me, shukadukka hetur, na devatatma, griha karma kala. So if none of these are the reasons for him losing his wealth, what is the reason? That question comes, right? Manapparamkaranamamananti. He says it's only my mind. Manapparamkaranamamananti. Samsara chakram parivartayedyat. He says, if you see, normally when you drive the car, what is fueling the car? What is making the wheel of the car move? The fuel. Likewise, he is saying, what is the fuel that is driving the samsara chakra? Cycle of birth and death, this is also like a wheel. What is it that's fueling? It doesn't seem to be stopping. Just keeps on going. He is saying, it's only my mind. Mana param karanam. This is the ultimate cause. Mana param karanam amananti. Samsara chakra. What is it that's fueling this samsara chakra, this cycle of birth and death? We may say all of these 6 factors, it's that person who didn't make the situation favorable for me, this person who didn't inspire me, or that devotee actually always criticized me, this devotee didn't glorify me, that devotee didn't value me. They're all possible reasons we can give. But a true devotee will find a way to take ownership of the situation. How? Somebody may lose. Recently, one devotee forwarded me one shot. And there is a person who is actually telling that if we take all the wealth of the top 10 richest people in this world, you take, Mukesh Ambani, Carlos Slim, Adani, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, topmost. You take all of them and give it to the poor people. He says, after a few years, remarkable things will happen. Somehow the rich people will find their way to become rich again. And the other people, if they don't have the proper attitude, somehow, even despite being given a lot of wealth, they will still find themselves in the same situation. Materialistic analysis only, but there is some truth in it. You can't ignore it. And he says real wealth means it's not what you have outside, it's what you have inside. True attitude means rich people, it's not the riches which they actually have that make them rich, it's the attitude that they have, that's what makes them rich. In bhakti, what is our richness? What is the opulence? Bhakti itself, service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the real opulence of the heart. And same understanding, we can stretch it to understand about how to become more rich in bhakti. How? Taking responsibility by Avanti Brahmana. Krishna is not making fun of him, because Avanti Brahmana's situation there is, when everything goes away from him, he doesn't sit there and blame, he takes a sannyas. And then he goes to different places. People, when they see a Brahmana acting this way, he would actually act dumb, same as Jadabharat. So people would make fun of him, they'll spit on him. Whatever water pot he has, he would use the same water pot. Krishna goes down to this detail. Please read Uddhava Gita. Krishna says the water pot which he will normally use for drinking, or for, like as a kamandalu, he'll use the same water pot as a begging bowl. And whatever he would go begging, gather something, some madhukari, Krishna says sinful rascals would come and they would urinate on that. That's how much he was tormented by people. Now, despite all this, what is he saying? Nayam janome shukha dukkha hetur. Why? Attitude. If we are clear in our priority to increase our bhakti for Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, no matter what, we should not let anyone come between us and Radha Gopinath or Radha Gopinath and us. Whatever challenge that we face, we should take responsibility. External reasons are there. We can say, and they may be true. Now, can you say, Avanti Brahmana is saying, these people are not the cause of my trouble. Is it fully true? Yes and no. Why no? Because they are still causing him trouble. And why yes? That they are not the cause of his troubles, because whatever they do, we perceive that as a big trouble for him, but for Avanti Brahmana, he is not bothered. His priority is very clear, which is to simply increase his service. Etam sa astaya paratmanishtam adyasitam purvatamair maharishibhi ham tarishyami durantaparam tamo mukundangri nishevayaiva. I shall cross over this vast, insurmountable ocean of material existence by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord and do devotional service. This is a sure path because so many people have gone in this way. And it is approved. His realization was so exemplary. Krishna is talking about it. His realization was so exemplary. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also talks about it. In fact, this particular verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself chanted. And it is the sannyas mantra of ISKCON sannyasis. They chant this mantra 3 times a day. Can you imagine? It's one thing to do mistake, but you turn the situation around and you become the source of, or the greatest source of inspiration for everyone. That is attitude. And how did he achieve it? By taking responsibility, by taking ownership. In bhakti, many times we try to play it safe. We live in material world, and the rules of the game here is, whatever that we do, we will struggle. So it's up to us what kind of struggle we want to take. But whatever situation that we put ourselves in, we will struggle there. Now the $1 million question is, what level of struggle we want to go for? Surprisingly, if we practice bhakti only to survive, guess what your struggle will be in? Surviving. But if we go one step further and try to conquer for Krishna, guess where our struggle will be? On conquering. Suddenly, our position of survival will become guaranteed. Understand? When we teach our kids, we should not teach them just to survive in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, guess what will happen? Whole life they'll struggle only to survive in Krishna consciousness. But if we teach to take the preaching mission forward, Prabhupada says, physician, heal thyself. During COVID times, when the COVID vaccine were limited, guess who took the first shot? Health personnel. Why? Because they need to be first protected in order to take care of other people. So when we take the preaching mission as the platform of our working, guess where our struggle will be? To spread the preaching mission. That's okay. But guess what will be a given and guaranteed? Our survival in Krishna consciousness. That will be taken care by Krishna. Prabhupada, when they asked this question, Prabhupada said that, Prabhupada, we go, when we preach, we expose ourselves so much to Maya. Prabhupada says, yes. But what if we fall down? Prabhupada says, then the mission will stop. So Krishna will not allow that to happen. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will not allow that to happen. You can read that. Prabhupada is actually saying. But we think, no, we will play it safe. But whatever that we do, we will struggle. If you choose to struggle just at the survival level, that's all your whole life will be. But if you choose to rebuild the temple, if you choose to take up some glorious mission, guess where you will struggle? In just collecting funds. But our bhakti will be taken care. If we go to preach, preaching may be an endeavor, there will be some struggle there, but our sadhana will be automatically taken care. But when we have that aim, when we have that expectation, somehow our mind makes us to see our life in a very short-sighted way, and that way we undersell our own potential, unfortunately. So we need to push ourselves. The preaching mission is here to save us. Forget about others. Simply by taking the preaching mission, our bhakti will be guaranteed. Simply by taking ownership of the situation, whatever that we are in, accepting that it's my mind which is actually causing this trouble, Krishna will give us his mercy. So here, to control the mind, to focus the mind, mana prasada saumyatvam, Krishna says, when he talks about the austerities of the mind, mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigragaha bhava shamsuddhir iti etat tapo manasam uchyate. Krishna says in 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says austerity of the mind includes 5 items. Mana prasada, satisfaction. Saumyatvam, simplicity. Mana prasada saumyatvam. Maunam, gravity. Atma vinigragaha, self-control. Bhava shamsuddhir, purification of one's existence. Iti, thus. Etat, this. Tapo, austerity. Manasam, of the mind. Uchyate, he said to be. So, satisfaction of the mind, how does that come? Satisfaction of the mind comes when we go more deeper. This understanding of whatever platform that we will work, we will struggle there, you can extend it further. The solution for that struggle you get only by going even one level higher, which means here we see the bodily troubles which Avanti Brahmana is going through. What is he saying is the cause of that? His own mind. Understand? So for bodily troubles, he is raising his consciousness one level high and finding solution at mental level. Now if the mind is actually causing us trouble, guess what we are supposed to do? Raise from the mental level to spiritual level. So here bodily troubles which is caused by people spitting on him, urinating on him, throwing stones at him and everything, he is saying none of this is the cause, my mind is the cause. In other words, by fixing the mind, he is finding the solution for his body, which is one level below. Now when our mind gets into trouble, we try to actually analyze, talk in a very motivating way, they'll all be good, but a temporary solution only. Prabhupada would often say that as blowing the boil. When you have some boil there, you'll feel nice, but how long can you keep blowing? I remember, sometime extreme summer, and then you feel tired blowing, you better keep quiet. How long can we do? Temporary solution. But permanent solution here is mana prasada saumyatvam. When can mind be satisfied? Mana Krishna niveshayat. When the mind is actually fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna, that is when one gets satisfaction on all the levels. Because bodily trouble, you can find solution at mental level. Mental trouble, you can find solution only at spiritual level. General motivational talk, which people do, unfortunately, talks on mental level only. It will look good. So what our solution, I always used to wonder, when you watch motivational videos, people will say, so if you go through this trouble, do this. And then one day later, they'll say, do these 4 things. The day after, do these 5 things. How many things can I do? Keep doing. That's a proof that it's not an ultimate solution. Ultimate solution means one solution that should fix all the problem. Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is that one switch that will turn on all the lights of this world. If one simply accepts Krishna, isn't that what Krishna himself says as the peace formula? Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram shuhridam sarva bhutanam. 3 things one should accept. Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer, proprietor and friend of all the living entities. Then if somebody does that, Bhoktaram egatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram shuhridam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam shantim richati. Simply by recognizing Krishna as the ultimate enjoyer, proprietor and friend, one feels shanti. One feels at peace in one's heart. Okay, so here fixing the mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead means to chant Hare Krishna. To control our consciousness, to control the mind means we don't sit and battle with the mind. We take it to a much higher level, which is to chant Krishna's name. But if we want to be peaceful in our life, if we want Krishna consciousness to be guaranteed for our own sadhana, take up something higher. We should not hover on just a survival platform. If somebody goes to give class, naturally do you think their sadhana will be taken care? Because they know very well, if I don't do my sadhana, it will be a problem. Same way, if somebody goes for preaching mission, Prabhupada gives another example. When there is a war, when somebody joins the army, all their needs are taken care, their family are also taken care. They have military canteen in India. They get everything cheap there. So Prabhupada says similarly, preaching mission means those who have joined the army of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That means everything that is needed to take care of them is automatically taken care. It's a fundamental paradigm shift we need to actually make. First in our own mind, then whoever you preach to, could be youth. You bring up your kids. We need to train the kids to take up the preaching mission. If we teach them only to survive in Krishna consciousness, that will be their platform of struggle for rest of life. As harsh as it actually sounds, but that's the truth. Whichever platform we act, that's our platform of struggle. So we need to raise our platform to another level so that at least our sadhana will be taken care, correct? In preaching you may go, you may preach, nobody may even come to your class. I've got a lot of experience. One devotee asked, Prabhu, nobody is in the temple room. How are you giving class during COVID? I got used even before COVID. Like that. I have given Bhagavatam class in this temple. Only Radha Gopinath has heard. Ravi Prabhu still knows. Okay, so we need to raise our platform by taking up to this platform of preaching, giving Krishna consciousness to others, by taking up this responsibility to build the new home for Radha Gopinath. Naturally, our sadhana will be taken care. Our own finances will be taken care. We'll stop there. We are well over time. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.